So HuffPost reports that, quote, the court's ruling could now mean that once a child born to non-citizen parents leaves certain states, they won't be considered a U.S. citizen. In a move that threatens to spark chaos throughout the country, the United States Supreme Court on Friday partially blocked a series of nationwide injunctions on Donald Trump's birthright citizenship executive order. No right is safe in the new legal regime the court creates. Today, the threat is to birthright citizenship. Tomorrow, a different administration may try to seize firearms from law-abiding citizens or prevent people of certain faiths from gathering to worship, Sotomayor wrote, adding that with the stroke of a pen, the president has made a solemn mockery of our Constitution. The article goes on to say the sentiment is similar to the position the High Court has taken around deportations and habeas corpus issues. In short, individuals must bring their own unique individual cases. The majority decision appears to ignore inherent logistical difficulties that come for many plaintiffs and petitioners who lack resources to sue or simply cannot access courts. In her dissent, Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson highlighted this fact. Quote, the wealthy and well-connected will have little difficulty securing legal representation, going to court, and obtaining injunctive relief in their own name if the executive violates their rights. Jackson wrote, consequently, the zone of lawlessness the majority has now authorized will disproportionately impact the poor, the uneducated, the unpopular, i.e., those who may not have the wherewithal to lawyer up, and will all too often find themselves beholden to the executive's whims. This is yet another crack in the foundation of the rule of law. So Vox had a little bit of a different take on what happened. Their article said the Supreme Court's birthright citizenship decision isn't as devastating as you think. And they say that the specific issue was whether all the lower courts that struck down the Trump anti-citizenship order may issue a nationwide injunction, which would block that order everywhere in the country, or whether they must issue a more narrow injunction that only blocked it in certain states or for certain families. Amy Coney Barrett's majority opinion concludes that a nationwide injunction is not allowed, sort of. Much of the opinion is about why nationwide injunctions should be impermissible, but a key section suggests that in this case, one might actually be okay. Specifically, Barrett says that courts may issue injunctions that are broad enough to ensure that a victorious plaintiff receives complete relief. This matters because several of the plaintiffs in this case are blue states that object to Trump's attempt to cancel many American citizenship. And they argued that it would be unworkable if birthright citizenship was the rule in some states, but not others. In any event, Barrett does not ultimately say whether she finds the argument persuasive, instead concluding that the lower courts should determine whether a narrower injunction is appropriate in future proceedings. So the holding of CASA seems to be that universal injunctions should be rare, but they are permissible in some cases, including possibly this case. So the article goes on to say, during the Biden administration, MAGA-aligned federal judges in Texas routinely handed down nationwide injunctions on highly dubious grounds, which, as y'all would know, was the reason a lot of the student loan forgiveness stuff didn't go through. So they say, indeed, this practice so frustrated Biden's Justice Department that even after Trump won the 2024 election, Biden's Solicitor General, Elizabeth, I hope I don't mess up her name, Prelogar? Y'all see it on the screen. Filed a brief asking the justices to limit their use. So, as mentioned above, Barrett leaves the door open to a nationwide injunction in this very case. She also suggests that opponents of Trump's anti-citizenship order can bring a class action and obtain relief very similar to a nationwide injunction. Although plaintiffs seeking to bring class actions must clear additional procedural bars. The court, in other words, resolved very little. It appears that nationwide injunctions are still allowed at least some of the time, and they might even be allowed in this very case. So to me, they just seem to be lazily bopping around from issue to issue, and they fail to meet the moment of clarity every time they need to be clear about something.
Every time.
So from what I read, class actions are extremely difficult.
Yeah, there's extra hurdles you have to go through.
And the Supreme Court hates class actions.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So now you are telling people to just start doing class actions so they could be mistreated when they get to y'all?
No.
So
this is what they do. They tie themselves in knots to give him what he wants.
yeah. And why are we even debating whether or not the 14th Amendment
Yeah, that's
is constitutional?
It's in the Constitution.
Is the constitutional amendment constitutional?
You don't get to pick
What
and
the hell?
choose what's constitutional out of the fucking Constitution. It's all constitutional. Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't be in the bitch.
This
Right.
is the shit that it's like we're
This
living
is so
in.
frustrating. It's like
I swear this is like
It's the
one
upside
nightmare.
down world.
One long ass fucking nightmare that doesn't make any sense. Because every day I swear I wake up and shit just gets crazier. It's like, why are we even debating this? And why do we as Americans, don't matter whether you're a Republican, don't matter whether you're a Democrat, don't matter whether you're independent or no party affiliation, why do you think it's okay for one person to be able to decide who is a citizen or not?
right.
No. Because what's to stop his old rumpled thin-skinned ass from saying we not citizens all of a sudden?
Well, that's what he's going to
Nothing.
try to do. I mean, look at what he said about Elon Musk.
We'll have to take a look. Okay, bitch.
You'll have to take a look. And I wish we had the clip, but we don't have the clip for y'all. But he said he's going to have to take a look at whether he's going to deport Musk now because him and Musk got in a fight.
This
Now,
is the
far be it
pettiness
from-
of this man.
Far be it for me to say. Must
Well,
just
that's
say.
one I won't protest. Go ahead.
Right.
On.
I mean, I don't like
You could do it. If you gon' do it, then
If you're going to
I
be
ain't
doing
gonna
this to other
stop you,
people,
but-
then go ahead on.
But
Well, I'm going to
What's to
disagree
stop
with that.
them?
And deport the Cybertruck too.
make it unlawful.
No, I'm going to disagree with that.
I know. We joking, but I
know
know
you're
I know
joking,
why
but
you
it's
go
like, yeah,
disagree
it's
because
like-
it's a slippery slope and it sets precedent. But go ahead. I didn't mean
No,
to take the words
that's
out
all
your
right. It's just he's a citizen. He's a naturalized citizen, but he earned his citizenship. Just like all the other naturalized citizens. So if you, like you said, it is a slippery slope. So no, you don't get to do that because you're not a king.
Yeah.
So with this mess that they have caused, we're leaving a whole lot of people unprotected. And they're going to be dealing with shit like this. So we're going to show y'all a few videos. Here's the first one.
You can record, stay back a couple feet.
In a targeted operation, masked Border Patrol agents detained Reza Fatiha in West Los Angeles around 9 a.m. on Tuesday.
He's asylum seeker.
When Reza's wife, Marjan, saw her husband being arrested,
Borata!
she ran outside and she was also taken into custody.
Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this?
You want to be arrested as well?
Marjan suffered a medical emergency and collapsed to the ground.
They came here for freedom, not like this. Shame on you.
I was devastated. I was so shocked to see that. It just triggered my mind that where I am, I'm in USA or a street of Tehran.
Pastor Arya Tarosian of Cornerstone Church, West Los Angeles, says the Iranian couple detained are members of his congregation. He says another Iranian couple from his Church of Christian Faith was taken into custody on Monday following a mandated court appearance.
The agent came and asked the family, come, we want to update your address, and they took outside the waiting room.
Pastor Tarosian says they are all asylum seekers with valid work permits and no criminal records.
This should not happen. And
the arrests of his parishioners have prompted Pastor Tarosian to take an unthinkable step, urging his congregation not to attend church out of fear for their safety.
This is just maddening
Utterly ridiculous.
and un-American.
I got something. Okay, so those people are from Iran.
Mm-hmm.
These people who are in charge of this country, they're supposed to be Christians. You have Christians being persecuted in predominantly Muslim countries like Iran, Iraq. And these people sought asylum here because of their faith. They're
Because
being
they will be
persecuted.
unalived.
They would be, right. And you're going to send them back to a hostile environment after they have fled for their lives. So that is not of God. That is not Christian.
Definitely not.
It's just, it's cruel. It's evil. And it is heart-wrenching to see that lady had a medical emergency. What if she had a heart attack and died? What they would have said, oh, fuck, oh, well?
Yeah, I believe
Basically,
it.
it's just really, I just can't.
Because we don't know who is in this secret militia.
No.
I mean, it could be some of the ICE agents that were employed before this madman's administration.
But who has he hired since
But
then?
it could also be white supremacists. It could also be Proud Boys. It could also be who knows who.
Right.
I mean, they could literally be hunting immigrants like people hunt deer.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah,
this
because
is
they have a mandate. It's like pressure is being put on them to reach quotas. When you establish a quota for something, that is when people feel compelled to do things out of the ordinary. Just case in point, when I worked in banking, when I worked as an investment representative, people would do things. And that's one reason why I had to get out of that profession. Because people would do things to reach a quota that was unethical. They would, it became all of the stories that people hear about the environment that you work in when you are in investments, sales. That stuff takes place at every institution. And it's just because you have a mandate to reach a goal, to reach a quota. And even on the other side, in the retail banking part, it was how many checking accounts can you get? How many credit cards? How many this? It makes you feel compelled, and this is only thing on their mind.
Yeah.
Is finding somebody that they can lock up. And it's just cruel, it's evil, it's wrong, it's immoral.
Yeah, and nobody should be treated like that.
Yeah.
But to make matters worse, this is what they're doing to American citizens. So y'all watch this video.
I was asleep with my babies inside.
Jenny Ramirez tells us what she says happened when federal agents showed up this morning at her Huntington Park home.
And my neighbor called me on phone and said Border Patrol they're outside your house and they're pointing guns.
Just after 6 a.m., surveillance video showed a line of federal agents moving down the street in front of her home. One man put some type of tool on the front door, then joined other agents behind the family's SUV. Seconds later, a SWAT vehicle pulled up outside, followed by an unmarked white Suburban. Then you'll hear a few muffled announcements over a loudspeaker. When no one came out, the federal agents blew the door off.
I just hear the blast. All of a sudden, I just hear the blast, and I told them, I am in here with my babies. What's going on? They shattered the window first, and then the second big bomb came when they broke the door down.
The blast woke up the neighbors, too.
I'm not going to lie. I thought we were being bombed. That's how loud it was. And I look outside, and there's masked armed agents in every single driveway up and down our street.
After the blast, agents escorted Jenny outside the home as she held her 1-year-old and 6-year-old's hand.
They took me out with my babies. I was barefooted. My baby didn't even have a pants on or shoes.
Jenny said the agents were after her boyfriend, who was at work. Border Patrol said they eventually arrested him after he obstructed federal agents during a law enforcement operation. Jenny denies that claim.
This shouldn't have happened.
It goes back to this accident last week in Bell. Video of the crash was posted on Instagram.
It was not their fault. It was not their fault.
Jenny said her boyfriend was driving the black Jeep when she said they unintentionally hit the back of a federal agent's truck. The agents were conducting an operation nearby. But late this afternoon, a Border Patrol spokesperson said Jenny's boyfriend rammed into the Border Patrol vehicle.
I don't know if this is retaliation. I've been feeling super scared since Friday. We didn't even know what to do.
Now, a week later.
So
you have,
who's next?
You have no regard for any of the occupants of a dwelling. You don't know who else is in there.
How the fuck are they supposed to
I
hear?
pray that this doesn't happen, but I'm telling y'all, someone is going to die. They are going to kill
unalive
a child
because of the algorithm.
Oh, sorry. They're going to unalive someone because they have no regard. They're just out of control.
Yeah, this is racism at its finest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I heard this story. I didn't know, that anybody was in the house. I didn't hear that part of it. But you have a 1-year-old child and a 6-year-old. Those children are at least traumatized.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They could have been injured. A 1-year-old and a 6-year-old, a 6-year-old could have been playing behind that door when they blew it.
Yes. And we're going to talk about, what happened in my childhood later on in the show is still affecting me. And I'm a grown man. So imagine those kind of things. These people are going to have PTSD. They're not going to be able to go to sleep at night in their own house because they can't close their eyes and be like, okay, I'm safe in my own house.
Just like the lady in Nebraska. Remember the lady in Nebraska?
Mm-hmm.
They broke into her house and they had the wrong house. Mm-hmm. And that lady probably still don't have her stuff back. I mean, they broke.
I thought that was Oklahoma.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But she and her 4 daughters ushered out into the cold rain in their underwear and pajamas.
Mm-hmm.
Because you was looking for somebody that she's not even affiliated with. You didn't bother to check.
And then
you're not doing any type of intelligence to see whether the person you're looking for is actually still at that address. Mm-hmm. That lady had just rented that house and just moved in like maybe a week or 2 before.
Yeah. So they're doing what they want to do to people who they deem they have a problem with. So it's people like them now And what I fear is that a lot of people be like, well, that'll never be me. That's because of they'll be racist and say, well, that's because of their heritage or because of how they look. But then it's going to be people, like we Black, so it's always us next. And then on top of that, then it's going to be whoever detracts or whoever Trump and his people don't like.
White people don't understand is that you got to understand how racism is.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever background,
just the hate in general.
Yeah, and whatever background they are, once they rise to power, is going to be the supreme background.
Mm-hmm.
Which means, like, if it's going to be like, well, what heritage? What part of Europe is your heritage from?
Yeah, they're going to keep making that circle smaller and smaller.
It's like it's a slippery slope.
You could be next. Somebody is always next.
I mean, literally study the rise of Hitler, and you have
right
the motherfucking
roadmap
to this bullshit
that's
going on right now.
Black people being next. Black people already.
Mm-hmm.
Haitians are Black.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they're doing it to Haitians. It's so much going on that you don't hear about everything.
Because it's hard to cover.
It's hard to cover. It's hard for us to cover. You look at social media and you see all these videos.
Yeah.
Of what's,
and then we have to be careful,
on.
guys, with what we say. Like I was just talking about with the algorithm, because if we say certain words, then it doesn't get circulated as much.
Right.
And we have the.
And I'm still learning about that.
We have the evidence now to prove that. We could look at this video and it didn't go as good as the next one, and we look at what we might have said in this one. So it's a lot that we have to do, but we feel like, hey, this is important for us to.
It is important
to speak on, because if we don't say nothing, that's how this country got into this problem.
Yeah,
because a lot of people just don't say nothing.
The misinformation
We're
and the
putting
silence.
ourselves in danger to say something. Because just like they rolled up on some U.S. citizens just because they rear-ended them.
Yeah, and I mean,
they can, because we said something, could come rolling up in here. You know that spam blonded bitch just chomping at the bit.
So what happened to, you have to go to court and prove that somebody did something?
It's due process.
This is what we're saying. They're out of control.
They don't care about due process anymore.
I mean, to me, the way it should work is ICE should not be able to enforce that. You should be in charge of immigration.
Mm-hmm.
So if they assaulted you, allegedly, by running into your car, then you should call the local police department, like I would have to do if someone intentionally ran into the back of my car.
Well, no, that wouldn't be the local police department because they're a federal agents.
In the jurisdiction.
You're in the jurisdiction, but federal agents, if you assault the federal agents, that is a federal crime.
Then
but they still shouldn't be able. They should still have to bring a federal
the FBI that should
case. Yeah,
I just feel like they're operating independently.
They're operating lawlessly.
Yeah, and they shouldn't be.
The next president of the United States needs to round every last one of these motherfuckers up. They need to find them and round them up and put them under the fucking jail.
Trust me, they ain't gonna be able to find them.
No.
Because I would personally bet
the higher ups
that they're not keeping records. The Trump administration, they're not gonna keep the records
of what?
Then,
like who these masked agents are.
Oh, they have to be keeping records because they're paying them. You ain't paying them cash.
But I don't think they're gonna keep records of this agent arrested this person at this date.
No, I see that.
I don't think they do
then
that.
we get the higher ups.
First of all, I don't think they're competent enough to be doing that. But then they purposely wouldn't want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So this is dangerous, and people better wake up, because this is like when you look at other people, that whole mindset of, well, it ain't me, or even the fact that some people in the news and some people on social media will be like, well, what did they do? It's like you constantly want to look for what did the other person do instead of being objective. I'm not saying you should immediately say, well, law enforcement was wrong.
No.
But you're just immediately going to, well, they must have did something to deserve that.
No.
And that is the definition of a bootlicker. And I ain't putting nobody boot in my mouth. Fuck them.